I just received my Ridetech sway bar. See if I need to do any modifications to this before I install it to my frame. And I'm going to open it up and see and show you what comes with this kit. So let's get started. Okay, so everything here looks nice. Again, I'm just trying to make sure. I'm going to powder coat the frame, so I want to make sure that I'm not going to have any problems installing the sway bar to the frame. I had a problem in the past pretty much installing this bracket here. Let me see where it is. Yep, here it is. This bracket here, and the holes don't line up properly. So I'm going to show you what I did to correct that problem. So this is the kit. This is the arms here. Show you. Okay, I'm not going to install this at this point in time. I just want to make sure the fitment is proper. Here's the sway bar. Nice 1.5 inches thick. So I'm going to show you all the problems I have trying to fit it. So let's get started, and I'll see you in a bit. I'm getting ready to install this Ridetech suspension bar on my frame, and I ran into a problem. I have here the plate. Good thing, I mean, I tried to do this when the frame was on my benches, and I decided it'd be a lot easier to weld if I put it on my rotisserie. So the problem I'm having, this is the one of the set screws that they ask you to install, and you're supposed to use the original holes of the sway bar. And the problem with that is once you install it, okay, I'm just going to make this finger tight. You use the original hole. So the original hole is over here, okay? And then they say that they recommend you tapping this out with 3/8 and then using 5/16. I'm sorry. Drilling it out with 5/16 drill bit and then chasing it with a tap and die. So the threads on the bolt that they use right here is actually 3/8 with the 16th count teeth. So that goes in there like that. But the problem I have is that once I tighten this down, the metal inside the frame is really weak. So what I am going to do is I am going to make sure that this is straight, because if you look here, it sticks past the frame, and I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all this, and I am going to put the plate in line with the frame seam right here, okay? And I'm going to push that to that point there, and I'm going to weld this plate on. But in the meantime, once I put the plate there, I am going to put on this side, I'm going to weld a nut. So because the metal is thin, so when I had the problem when I torqued down on it, it actually stripped out. So I'm going to put these nuts here on this side. I'm going to tack weld it and then run a bead of weld around it. Then I'm going to punch a hole in the frame so it compensates that piece, okay? And then I'm going to weld the plate on here. So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing. So it's the suspension kit Ridetech for the sway bar that I'm using. So if you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Okay, I just got done drilling this hole over more so the plate actually lays flush with this bump in the frame, which is only about 1/8 of an inch or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap it. Here's my tap. So I'm gonna actually tap it so I thread in this counter flush nut to hold it in place while I go ahead and mark it so I can drill it. So I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to be back when I'm ready to tap this. So I'll be right back. I'm ready to tap this out with 3/8 16th inch thread count. So I'm just going to do this. It's just going to start cutting into the metal. The reason why I'm doing this is because it's thin metal, and I'm having a problem when I torque down the bolt. It's actually stripping through. So this is supposed to be thicker metal here, I'm assuming, and for some reason it's not. So I am gonna tap this out right here. Okay, just a little bit here. I put some cutting oil in there in case you're wondering. Just gonna thread this down just a little bit, and it's probably 18th inch gauge metal, so it's not that thick. So once you start torquing down, it actually strips out. So I am gonna put this on there, and I am going to make sure it's on there nice and tight so I can move everything over. Grab my Allen key over here, and that's it. So do that. Okay, that's perfect. It's straight perpendicular with the seam of the frame. I'm going to bring you down closer, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did to get this straight. Other than that, I mean, it's a really nice kit. Here's the sway bar, and I just want to make sure everything lines up properly. So when I go ahead and torque this down, it's not going to give me an issue. So it's not going to pull through the frame, and I'm going to get the frame powder coated, so it's going to be a finished frame. So I want to make sure everything here lines up properly. So I'm going to show you exactly how I'm going to do this so it doesn't move. I know this is for you guys at home. You're not really too familiar with the metal here. I'm going to use these nuts and weld them to the back of this plate, drop it in, and then weld around it. But for anyone at home that's doing it, you might want to think about coming in through the pocket here and dropping a washer and a nut. That's a pain in the butt as well. So I hope this video helps you out. So I'll be right back. Just wanted to show you, I just got done drilling the hole in the frame here, 5/16. That gives me enough for the nut to go through the frame. So what I am going to do is I am going to take this nut and I'm going to weld it to the back of this plate, so it gives me something to screw to when I screw my sway bar on. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld the plate to the frame, because I don't have any reason why I'm ever going to take this back off once I rebuild this car. So, and plus, if you do need to take it off, you could always buy these plates. You call Ridetech up and you get another plate. So it's no big deal. So what I am going to do is I'm going to clean this area up, and I'm going to spot weld the nut to it, and I'm going to show you when I'm done what it looks like. So let me get started. Okay, I'm ready to dry fit this, make sure this is what it looks like. I want to show you. See, I put the nuts and the bolts on there, lined it up, make sure it fits. So I'm going to double check. So I'm going to stick it in here. It's a little tricky because of the angle. Tap that in, just like that. So everything's there. So I'm going to put this nut back in when I weld it so it doesn't move, and then I'm going to back everything out. So now the only thing I have to do is grind the plate so I have a nice welding surface. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to turn the camera off, and I'm going to show you when I tack weld it what it looks like. So we're going to go from there. So I'll be right back. What I ended up doing was welded the nuts on the back of the plate here. Let me show you. See that? And what I ended up doing was making the holes larger to accept the weld that went around. So that's why these holes are larger. So it fits in there nicely. Everything's ready to go. And what I ended up doing was I used this step drill right here. I got it from Harbor Freight. It's a cheap one. I'm only going to use maybe 2-3 times. And then I got, to make it a little larger, I got this bit here. It's a special bit. It is a rasp drill bit. So you drill in and then you oblong the hole if you need to. These are like serrated cutting tips on that drill bit. Really nice. So I went in there and cleaned it up a little bit on the side because it had to go over just a little bit. So I needed to do that. So this is ready to go on this side. When I say ready to go, I mean ready to weld up. But before I do that, I'm going to do the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing, and then I'm going to take my sway bar and lay it in here and make sure it fits properly before I go ahead and do my final welds, because once I do this, I'm not going to be able to move them. Then I'm going to take my frame and get it powder coated. So this is going to be part of the frame when I get it done. I still have to do a couple odds and ends to the frame, but that's about it. So I'm going to show you when I complete that side. I'm going to install the sway bar so you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you need to be very careful. You don't weld these in a wrong position, because then you won't be able to move your sway bar. I'll show you that in a little bit. I just got done grinding that clean. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to weld the nuts to this plate. So when I slide the bolts through, I have this whole big piece of plate to hold it in place, and then I'm going to weld this to the frame. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. I just got done putting the bolt through the hole with the nut. So now I'm going to just tack weld this all the way around. So when I bolt my sway bar to it, it'll work perfectly. So let me do this real quick and show you exactly what I'm doing. So, okay, I'm ready to tack weld this in place, the nut to the plate, and when I'm all done, I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. And I'm going to do this one, and do this one, so I'll show you the end result. And then I'm just going to go all the way around, and then that's it. I'm not going to bore you with me welding. So okay, I just got done tacking it all in. I want to show you. I welded everything to the plate with the nut there, so I have a nice clean solid base. So now I just got to clean it up so it fits in the hole on that side. So I'm just going to clean it up a little bit, and that's gonna make it nice and strong for me to bolt my sway bar in place. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So let me clean this up a little bit, and I'll get back to you. Okay, I'm all done grinding the welds around the nuts that I welded on. So it's as small as I could get without ruining the welding. So now I'm gonna fit it to the holes and make sure that this sits in there properly. So I'm gonna bring you over here and show you exactly what I'm doing. Okay, I am ready now to step drill these holes out. This is where this hole here and this hole is the original sway bar mounts where I drilled out to make larger. So what I am going to do now is, here's the plate, close up of the plate with the nuts welded to it, cleaned up. So that's going to go in there just like that. Okay, so I just have to make sure that those holes are drilled in a proper position so I don't have a problem installing the sway bar. So I'm going to use the step drill, which is this right here. I used it on the other side, and when I'm done, I'll be right back. I was just testing this out, making sure that my holes were good, and this is I don't know if I mentioned this before, but this is the original hole for the sway bar. So I'm using that as a guide to make sure that it is in the proper position. So just want to show you that, and there it is. So there's the holes that I made in the frame. So the nuts that I welded onto the plate fit there perfectly. Okay, so there you go. It sits there nice and flush. Show you that. All right, so that's nice and flush. Everything's right where it's supposed to be. I made these lines here as a scribe point so I can follow exactly where it goes. What I'm going to do before I weld is I'm going to clamp this down tight to the frame before I start welding. So I'm ready to do that next. So I'm going to clean it up, and I'm actually going to weld that is the passenger side because the frame is flipped upside down. So I'm going to weld that first. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you how I do it. I have both sides in. I have the left side and the right side over there in. So it's ready to be welded, but before I do that, I would like to make sure that the sway bar is going to fit properly. So I'm going to show you what to look for if you do this yourself. All right, I put the sway bar on, and I want to show you, those are the holes right there. So it lines up okay for now, but I didn't do the other side just to make sure. I might have to move it over a little bit, but the problem that I was trying to tell you is, you see this, there's a plate here that doesn't allow the bushing to go over to the left anymore. So you could go to the right over here, but you can't go to the left. That's like a stopping point. So you need to make sure that you don't weld these in the wrong position, and you won't be able to adjust your sway bar. So I just wanted to show you that. So I am going to try to dry fit it. I have the centering bolt holding the plate in place, so I am going to try to do this while I'm videotaping, and we'll go from there. So let's see how this plays out. All right, let me get a socket. Okay, here we go. We're tightening the bolt here just a little bit. I just want to make sure it works. So far so good. Let me go to the other side and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, everything came out really nice. So I have everything bolted down, which is working really nicely. So it's fitting properly. So I have enough movement if I want to go a little bit closer to the other side. I can move my bar, because again, you have that that plate, that stopping plate right over here. So everything's nice and tight, so I can't move it right now. But yeah, that's in the proper position. The bolts are lining up. That's nice. The bolts are lining up over there. That's nice. So I am going to get ready to start welding this in place. Be right back. Okay, everything's ready. I just disconnected the sway bar and everything's fitting nicely. So what I am going to do is I am going to start, here's that nut I never moved. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure I clamp this down so it's nice and tight on both ends before I start welding. So I'm going to weld the right side and then do the left side, and I'll show you a little bit as I go. I clamped everything down to the frame so it's nice and tight. Double checked everything, make sure it didn't move. I made sure that the set screw here was nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start welding that. I'm going to tack weld it first, of course, and then I'm going to tack weld it first, and then I'm going to go around and run my beads so I don't have an issue. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in there, I'm going to tidy it all up, and I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like when I'm all done welding it. So I'll be right back. Okay, I just got done tacking this in. Just wanted to show you. So it's tacked in, and what I'm going to do is I am going to finish welding everything straight across. So this takes some time because I don't want to overheat it. I don't want to get everything too hot, so I don't want any warpage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time, I'm going to weld it up, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And when I'm all done, I'm going to turn the camera back on and show you exactly how it looks finished, and I'll be right back. Okay, these are the plates already done, welded in. And all I have to do is just clean them up a little bit and grind them. So I hope this helps in your build understanding on what you need to do. Hopefully you won't have these problems like I did. But anyway, I hope this video helps you. And please like, share, and definitely subscribe. It helps my channel. I get bigger and better things, more light, more equipment, better filming. So anyway, please like and subscribe. Thanks. See you on the next one.